Hi everyone, welcome to my podcast. I'm Milton Forrester. Today I've got a very good friend of mine, and she's wrote a book which is called Successful Business Networking Online. Her name is Ladey Adey, and welcome to the call, Ladey.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Great. Okay. My first question to you is, what inspired you to write this particular book?
Well, this book was inspired because of lockdown 1.0. And at that time, everybody suddenly found Zoom for the first time. And they started using it for networking. And it was just such a phenomenon. It was just quite incredible what happened to the world of business networking. I've been in networking for many, many years, and I was really quite interested in what was going to happen. Do we just take what we did in person networking and stick it online, or were there some differences? And I found there were actually quite some significant differences. So I wrote it up. I spoke to people. There's about 120 people in the book, some serious networkers, some very sort of famous people within the networking sphere. And we interviewed, or I made comments, and then I put together the whole book covering online networking and making the distinction between that and in-person networking, but the principles of networking remained the same.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Now, could you tell the listeners a bit about yourself and your background? How did you derive at this position to write the
Yes,
book?
surely. I was in the book world back in the 1990s when I was working for a firm, and I was doing the in-house magazine. I was editor for them, and I did a lot of the typesetting. I then moved into the charitable sector. I did my management qualifications, became CEO of a number of charities. And then when we moved to Lincolnshire, I ran my own business, did networking, and then wrote my first book in 2014, which was called Unfrozen. I then wrote a colouring book with my daughter. Then we wrote a quiz book, and then we started on children's books. And as we were doing it, we suddenly realised not only did I find my love for books again, but we would help other people to write their books. And that's when I became an independent publisher. So this particular book, Successful Business Networking Online, is my 9th book, but I have got as many books for other people out there. And on my publishing side, I've got 15 authors ready to print their books next year.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's it very much in a nutshell. But of course, when March 2020, when the first COVID and the lockdown began, I thought, like many businesses, that my business was going to fall off the edge. I thought I wasn't going to have many clients, which was one of the reasons I thought, right, I'll write the book. I'm in the book world. I know how to write a book, so it would fill the time.
Yeah.
As it happened, networking changed my life in lots of ways. It certainly changed my business. And my business took off in a way that it never had before. And so I was getting up at 4:00 in the morning to write the book, 9:00 starting my work, finishing about 6 in the evening. At 7:00, I was in bed, fast asleep, ready to do it all over again the next day.
Oh, that's wonderful. It really is a refreshing conversation to hear that somebody's, they took off, you said, as in a lot of people's businesses have gone the other way. They've gone through difficulties and whatever. But you mentioned online. Why particular online? Why is that important?
The difference is online networking means that you can go anywhere and you can still be in your same home. So the other week I traveled to the USA, I went to Ireland, and I came back home for tea. It really is an equal playing field. People with disabilities can do far more networking online, and you can do it almost 24/7, which is incredible. You don't have the restrictions of the geographical issue. So I would, before lockdown, I would go to networking meetings locally or up to about 15 miles away. And that was my circle. So I do maybe 10 a month. Online, I do between 10 to 15 per week.
Wow.
And I meet hundreds of people. And I don't know what it was, but in the lockdown, people were saying, do you know what? I want to write a book. And because I was able to be introduced to them through online networking, it meant my clients, I tripled my client list.
That is wonderful. I did speak to you offline as well myself. I attempted to write a book many years ago, and maybe I'll pick that up as well because
I think that'd be a really good idea.
yeah,
It's like anything, but you've got to know your market. So because it's a product at the end of the day. So as long as you know there's readers out there, then it's how to reach those readers.
great.
I'd be really interested in your book, Hilton.
Awesome. Well, maybe we'll do that. Okay. What is the benefits of having a book then?
When I only work with non-fiction, business, faith, and children's books. But when you're doing it from a business perspective, it's the best business card you could ever have is a book. Because what you're doing is you're showing your authority. You're saying, I am an expert in this subject. And you show it through the book, through what you write. And as a publisher, I'm only interested in books that make a difference.
Yeah.
So a book has to make a difference to someone, whether that's memoir, whether that's business, however it's done, or whether it's entertainment, but it's got to make a difference. It's got to have a reason for being. And when I saw what was happening online, it's so easy how we forget because it's now part of our business culture, online networking. But when we first started it back in April, people going, I don't like this. I can't wait for the in-person ones to come back. This won't stay. This won't stick. Now people go, now new businesses have evolved just on online networking.
Yeah.
So things like Meow, and in a way Clubhouse as well, though that's slightly different, but there's sort of networking principles coming in different ways that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't had lockdown.
Yeah, I know some of the networking businesses have gone like the Forehand networking, the BNIs online, and some of the others. So really, it's about shifting, isn't it? In terms
it
of
is.
adapting.
It is. And Forehand, their founder Brad Burton, I interviewed him. He's in the book. Dr. Ivan Misner, who's the founder of BNI, he endorsed the book and said every business person and BNI member should have a copy. And I'm trying to, I am getting into universities now so that business students, ones that are studying it, will have networking as part of that curriculum and to realize the benefits of networking. Because I think it's saved many a business during this awful time that we've been in.
Yeah.
It saved them on two fronts. One, it has meant that they can carry on in business and they've found other people to work with and found new clients. And the second way is with business mental health. A lot of people have said because they were able to meet other business people and discuss either what they were going through or, just on a day when, I'm in business, but today's not a good day. And another business person go, I know what you mean. That happened with me last week, but, this is how I got out of it. Might help you.
Yeah.
And the business world has a great camaraderie, and business networks is part of that. If you're meeting people week on week, some are the same people, some are new people, and you become friends, and you then know who you want to refer people to, which is the base of business networking.
Yeah, awesome. You mentioned also make a difference. You want people to use the book to make a difference. What would you define as that meaning, that particular thing, make a difference?
Making difference for this particular book, or making a difference in general? In general, it is. The book has to have a purpose, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And if a lot of people tell their stories because obviously it's from within. It's this happened to me. This is what I did. This made the difference in my life. but it helps other people to look at it and think, that's what I need to do in my life. So whether it's, I've got one author, Kath Babington, her book's on social media. So learning a bit more about business social media makes a huge difference. I have two children's authors. One is the Navistar, and the other one is Miley's Mind. And those authors have looked at mental health for children, but have done it in a very creative way, quite differently. But that makes a difference to children reading those books. So each time when I talk to an author to see whether I want to work with them, whether they want to work with me, I want to know, is this book you just being cathartic and needing to write it for you, or is it going to have an actual message that is going to change someone else's life as well? And it just needs to change one person's life, and it's done. As far as I'm concerned, that makes it worthwhile.
That is wonderful. That's a great answer. I think that certainly makes a difference to somebody else. In other words, make their lives better in some way. And I
That's
think
right.
if you're looking at an individual then who is actually bringing something to you, you mentioned that you've got 13 people who are basically wanting to do books as well. How do you get to? Do they send the items to you? How do you interview them? How do you get to know that individual?
I meet people through Zoom, and I ask them what their business idea is.
Yeah.
And we talk it through, and they tell me more what they want to get from that book, so I can see whether it's something I would be interested in publishing. Then I share with them our book, our author mentoring program.
Yeah.
And in that, I explain how we work, because we expect if somebody's working full time or in their own business, we expect it will take about a year to 18 months to go from book idea right the way through to having opened a carton and pulling out the books all printed with your name and your title on them.
Right.
So there's quite a lot in between that, and we take authors through every single step. Successful Business Networking Online is my 9th book. So, and I got it out within 6 months. And that was quite simply because I knew the process and I knew what to do in what order. So because I do that, I share that with my authors. It's partly a teaching program so that they can keep in control and they know what's coming next so they don't get overwhelmed. And we promise our authors 100% control, 100% copyright, and 100% royalty.
Awesome. And what does that mean in terms of the control? Is there something for instance, if there's another version of it, what happens in that case?
Control, because I'm an author first, publisher second, control is really important. So I know how I want to be treated as an author myself. I've worked with other publishers, but at the moment, obviously, I publish my own stuff. So I'm an independent publisher for me and for others. And that control is crucial. So it's being able to say, right, I've written this book, but I want to take a portion of this book and make it a lead magnet. I don't have a problem with that. It's when someone says, right, I need to order some of my author copies at cost. And I say, here's the account. I'll show you how to set up the account, but you control the account. Therefore, you don't have to come through me just to get your copies.
Yeah.
So I want that author to have as much freedom in the marketing and production of that book. Though we do the done for you services, so we do the cover and the ISBN number and the interior and the layout, it will be in consultation. So I will say to an author, go and have a look at a whole load of books. Tell me what do you like? Do you like the page number right at the bottom? Do you like it in the top right-hand corner? It's that nth degree, but I want to know that the author is on board in the creation of the book, and it's going to be unique and it's going to reflect them. As well as the words, it's the presentation of that book.
Great. I think that's very important, because I think if there's the side where there's the publishing the book and then there's the author, writing the book and combining the two together, sometimes people need to be in that area where they are creating, and that is where the book is. And so it's great that they can actually work with you, who can do the other side of it with them.
That's right.
That's important.
And I become the accountability person.
Oh.
So I meet with my authors monthly and say, how are you getting on? Have you done much writing? Has life got in the way, or have you been able to carve out a time to do your writing? Have you got stuck? Do you need this? Do you need that? Just, to be the carrot and the boot at the behind, whatever's needed to get the author continuing to write, make good copy, and have it ready in a schedule that we've agreed.
That's important, accountability, because I think going back in time when I started doing my book, things got in the way. You kind of have this vision of actually getting a book done, and I think I did the 12 chapters, and then something else came in the way, and it would have been great to have actually met you then, with getting a call from you. Have you done anything?
That's right.
Fantastic. How is that working then with others, that accountability?
Yeah, it works really well because, I understand things do get in the way. And sometimes, I have some authors come and they say, right, this is happening. So we will just move the goalpost. We'll move the time when the book's to be launched. And then I have others who go, I'm getting on so well. Can we move the goalpost to publish, nearer and have a shorter writing period? So it's so unique. Each author has a unique way that they have to find their writing voice. And some people repurpose some of the work they've already done, whether they've done it as blogs or they've got some training manuals. They can repurpose some writing that they've already got for the book. And then the skill is making sure the same voice is going right the way through.
Yes, yeah, that's important. Yeah, that's wonderful.
I had one author he wrote his memoirs about being in the national service.
Wow.
Which is quite an historical period for him. But he's in his 80s now. But when he was in the national service, he was 18. And sometimes we'd get the 18-year-old voice, and then sometimes we'd get the 19-year-old voice.
Yes.
Which worked, but we had to be careful that they didn't mix.
Yeah.
So he would be writing as an 18-year-old and then suddenly say, I'm not quite sure I can remember this correctly. And we had to say, no, we have to take that bit out. Just go with that 18-year-old voice in your head, that memory, and that's what we go for. And then we'll put in the introduction why you wanted to write it. And that's when the 87-year-old or 82-year-old voice comes out when you go,
incredible.
that these memories is to my best of my recollection at the moment.
Yes. Oh, that's incredible. I mean, that is something where, he will go back in time. I can see why that would work. So going back to the book, what would for instance, if I bought the book, what action plans should I take with the book itself if I wanted to grow my business?
Excellent. Well, after reading the book, you'll have a lot more skills on doing business networking online correctly, professionally, efficiently, because there are some no-nos online which don't exist in person. So one of my biggest no-no on camera is eating. I think it just does not show you in a professional light when you eat on screen.
Okay.
And it's one of those things, once somebody does, you can't not look at them. It's just like all you can see, and you see the mouth moving, and it just doesn't work. Drinking is okay. We're all got the cups and bottles of water, and is not a problem. But the eating is. So if somebody's eating on camera, I think, actually, I don't think I want to do any work with you because you're not showing me a professional side. And we've only got this, 2 inches by 1 inch little square.
Yeah.
And that is your live business card. So you do need to have your full name, the very least your full name, because the whole point in networking is for people to be able to find you. They need to find you easily because they might want to do work with you. They might want your services. They might want you to have their services. There might be a partnership, or they might want to refer you to someone they know.
Yeah.
And if you've only put your first name there, you're not trackable.
Yeah.
So by having that first name there, they can go off to LinkedIn, find you there, link up, and then know that they can contact you and find your email and have a chat. Because the business networking meetings, which last anything from half an hour to 3 hours even, they're just your starter point. That's just your introduction, where you do your 1 minute. The book talks about your 1 minute. It also talks about a kiss-off line, so that you become memorable. My kiss-off line is either, is there a book in you, or we change the world one book at a time. So they're the kind of things that you use in the business networking world, so that so you can be memorable. Because if you're memorable, people will then go, oh yeah, she's the one who, or he's the one that, and they'll know how to contact you. And you know, they are those differences. You have to get your lighting right, and you have to be fairly attentive. Because people are watching you, literally watching you now. And and they're making assessments. Is this somebody I know, like, trust? Well, the knowing bit is that introduction. The liking bit is huge. If you don't like someone, it doesn't matter how good they are in what they do, you won't do any business with them. And then do you trust them, which comes with developing the relationship. In the book, I also play with the history of business networking. So I've taken it right back to the caveman of how we networked then, because it's not just these little groups. Everybody in business networks, and they have a network around them of people they refer to, whether that's brick and mortar businesses or the local builder. They will have the plumbers, electricians, the whole people that they work with on a regular basis, because they trust them, and they trust them to do the job that they have been, commissioned to do. So, but that doesn't mean to say they meet in a room and have an hour talking about networking. It's a different sort of networking. So there are many kinds of networks that we talk about in the book.
That's great. It sounds like it's incredible value in the book itself. So fantastic. So okay. So before I ask my last question, let's where can someone get a copy of the book, and where can they find you online?
The best way is through Amazon. Amazon is just a great platform for any book. Or you come to my website, www.ladeyadey.com. And that's lady with an E in it, just to differentiate from being a real lady. And or you email me and we can work that out, because some people have said they've enjoyed the book so much they want to give it away to members in their networks or clients. And when that happens, we can personalize the front page, and that can be very much to do with their business. This is a gift from, and the reason I'm giving this book is because, and I want it to really help you. And they can get a very personalized book that way for their marketing as well.
That's incredible. That's a great idea. Okay, Ladey. So lady with a he. So let me ask my last question, which is quite obvious to me. You're wanting to make a difference with the book itself. And my last question is, what would you want to make a difference for yourself in the world?
In the world, I think it's just having fun. We whether it's in business, personal life, family life, to have fun.
Great.
And even in lockdown and with what's going on, it's finding the joy in different moments, because it's a very short time that we have here. So what is your passion? What is it that you have joy in? What can you make fun?
Good.
And my quote, I think everybody should think of a quote that they want to have attributed to themselves.
Yes.
Because we're always quoting other people, Churchill and people that we know and really, really like and admire. But I think it'd be great fun, as well as having your kiss-off line for when you do your 1 minute. But if you also had a quote that is unique to you. And my quote is, "You're never too old to ride the carousel."
Lovely. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. I thank you so much, Ladey, for your time today. And the listeners can get your book, Successful Business Network,